Superlatives are the worst. I don't know if you ever noticed this before, but someone might ask you, like, oh, what's your favorite band? Or, like, what's your favorite song? What's your favorite show? That's an impossible question. You can have, like, your objective favorite, or, like, what's the, like, okay, and then you say something, and then you get, like, 20 qualifiers. My favorite movie of all time is Fellini's Satyricon. I don't want to watch it every day, but it's my favorite, so therefore I should. Uh, Superlatives suck. They don't really do anything for you. And you could say, like, oh, but what if it's, like, the best in this category? Yeah, best doesn't really mean a lot. You need to have incredibly good qualifying things whenever you're talking about something with someone. Excuse me for citing a CGP Grey video, but he talks about superlatives and he says that instead of saying like, "Oh, what's your favorite song?" you should, and you meet up with somebody, be like, "What song were you listening to on your drive here?" or the equivalent of it. Obviously, whatever. That way, you pretty much get like an actual answer instead of someone going like, "Oh, what do I listen to?" Oh, everything but rap and country. Doesn't mean anything. What did you listen to on your drive over here? What did you listen to last night? Do you like music? Do you listen to music? What was the last song that you listened to? And then it's like, oh man, I'm embarrassed. I listened to something bad on the way over here. Cool. That's not. I think a lot of people. This is like I guess, a rant about small talk, not superlatives. But I think a lot of people are misconstruing the point of that question. It's not like, are we friends because you say that uh, like Neil Young is better than John Denver. Who cares? Yeah, I don't. It doesn't matter. You're that like you think Joy Division has some cool like creative and neat way of looking at the world and how the bass functions. Not the point of the question. The point of the question is give me a common ground to talk to you about. Because if we find it, then we can continue going further. And playing this like stupid dance of generic question, generic answer, you don't get anywhere. And like you can say, okay, then what's the point of giving like someone that? You're just gonna have a generic response. Well, then what's the point of having a conversation at all? And that's, I guess, the ultimate nihilist like option. But stop answering. Stop asking questions with superlatives in them, and stop answering questions with superlatives. It goes for like books too. Um, like you can't like describe something as good. You ever read like a work of like literary criticism and then it like just kind of gives like an adjective about it? It's like, yeah, it was really like masterful. It's like it doesn't mean anything. It literally, it means SWAT. It's masterful. Oh, it has like this ephemeral like feel to it. You can't describe like utterly meaningless. No point in having the conversation whatsoever. You might as well give someone like a summary of what you watched. It's like that much of a description of something. And then, granted, okay, so Friedrich Schlegel says that poetisch kritisiert ne poetisch. Poetisch kritisiert durch poetisch. No, whatever. My German's terrible right now. I should train it up. But it's like poetry can only be criticized through poetry. Or, in other words, if you're going to criticize like a poem, write a poem. It's the only way of doing it. If you're going to criticize philosophy, you have to write more philosophy. If you're going to criticize a movie, you have to make a movie. Whenever you're talking about an art form or some work, it exists as that piece. And if you try to describe a poem using prose, it doesn't work because that's not what it is. This is completely off topic. I mean, I guess it is. But, like, so if you're going to, like, say, okay, well, this is the best thing ever, and then you give me a description of how good your poem is, doesn't mean anything. Yeah, sure, it has like the techniques that it might use, the meter, the actual like sounds that are coming out of it. Andre Belly would say it has the geometry of being pretty well. It follows like this shape structure with what was it? Rectangles and rhombuses. But like fundamentally, that doesn't mean anything. Like, what's the point in it? If it isn't at every single intellectual level doing something, then it's not. Then it's worthless. It's completely worthless. And that's why everything is like terrible. It's the reason why I was told to read Mistborn over and over as if I would enjoy that. And then I made it 50 pages in and I dropped it because the only thing that is exciting is the premise. Because it might have the most emotionally significant magic system. But it's not, it's nothing. It's just garbage. And you might say, okay, you're doing that right now when you're describing Mistborn. So the only way to criticize Mistborn would be to write a fantasy book that does everything that you have a problem with intuitively, with the will, with Schopenhauer's will, with Mistborn, and just make a better fantasy book. And yes, that actually is the answer. And the answer is just reading Gene Wolfe. Or the answer is, I don't know, not reading, like, fantasy, but, I don't know if I'm going to do that. Either way, point being, stop telling me something's the best, and just tell me, the last thing that you were, like, watching. Because someone's like, oh, yeah, like, if I gave someone my Satyricon Fellini answer of my favorite movie versus the fact that I've been going on a Nick Cage binge for the past week, one of those I'm going to get a conversation out of. And, yeah, sure, I guess the film major is going to be like, oh my gosh, you like Fellini? But it's like, I'm going to be able to talk something less about what's cool about Satyricon than I am about, like, Nick Cage's progression of his career. Not that I'm watching chronologically, just pure vibe space. I don't know. Relevancy bias. I guess that's what this is. That's good. If you're just talk to just the actual point of this video, I've realized over the 8 minutes of making it, is that figure out the teleology of someone's question and answer the intended question and not the literal one. Though I fear I have an autistic audience, and that would be difficult. I'm sorry.